Hello and happy Pride Month. I'm here to remind you all that you should never feel ashamed for who or how you love or how you are yourself. I'm also here to give you a list of some of my favorite queer books. That's right, I've got more book recs. Let's go. First on the list is Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. Full Disclosure is not only queer, but also has a BIPOC main character and advocates for safe sex and HIV positivity. The book is about a girl named Simone who was born HIV positive and her experiences navigating high school with that diagnosis and also questioning her sexuality. There's also a mystery element because there's an anonymous note writer who threatens to out her at school if she doesn't break up with her boyfriend, which is maybe not quite as relatable as some of the other parts of the book, but it does add some excitement. I think this novel is incredibly important because it talks about the reality of high school sex. We all know that in America, public school sex education is basically just don't do it. But we also know that it happens, especially in high school when people are figuring out who they are and what they like. And yes, sex during high school can be dangerous, but it's also a lot more dangerous when it's uneducated, unsafe high school sex. But Full Disclosure has it all covered, and fun fact, Cameron Garrett was only 18 when she wrote it. Next up are The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue and The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee. This is a duology of one badass queer sibling duo, set in Victorian times, I think, maybe the 1800s. I'm not really great with the time periods. Whatever time period has teenage boys going off to boarding school and then on a tour around Europe before becoming boring old men, which is essentially the plot of the first book. The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue follows Henry Montague around his grand tour on the continent of Europe before settling down to run his father's estate. Monty is sassy, gay, and hopelessly in love with his best friend Percy, also a criminal on the run from the French government. I relate to Monty more than I probably should. Monty, Percy, and Monty's younger sister Felicity get into trouble on multiple countries as they learn what they want out of life and who they want to spend it with. The sequel, The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, follows Felicity Montague on her quest to become a doctor in a time where women are expected to find a husband, pop out a few kids, and then take up embroidery. Felicity wants none of that, and like her older brother, becomes an international criminal to find the way of life that makes her happy. This is one of the few books I've ever read that has an asexual protagonist. Felicity's asexuality is questioned once or twice by a few characters as they try to understand it, but it's not really that big of a deal plot-wise. Casual asexuality is a big deal to me though, so thank you, Ms. Lee, for that. Next on my list is What If It's Us by Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli. We all know Becky Albertalli's hit book-turned-movie, Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, or Love, Simon, if you haven't read the book. She teamed up with Adam Silvera to write another fantastic young adult gay romance. What If It's Us is told from the perspectives of Ben and Arthur, two guys recently graduated from high school. Arthur is in NYC with his mom for the summer and is absolutely ready for his storybook romance. Ben lives in NYC and has just found out that storybook romances are usually too good to be true in real life. They meet in a post office and then lose each other in the big city. Whether they find each other again because of destiny or Arthur's determination not to give up on his dreams is up for interpretation. I love this book because it didn't have the cliche happy ending that most YA romance novels have, so it just felt a little bit more realistic to me. I laughed, I cried, I threw the book across the room in secondhand embarrassment. 10 out of 10, I absolutely recommend What If It's Us. Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This book caters to every single one of my interests. Arthurian legend, magic, space-age futures, overthrowing capitalism, and it's gay as hell. I love it. Once and Future is about the 42nd reincarnation of King Arthur, a girl named Ari. She crash lands onto old Earth, which had been abandoned centuries before for the stars, and pulls the magical sword Excalibur from a tree. This awakens Merlin the Magician, who is cursed to age backwards until he finds a way to break the cycle, followed by all the Arthurs he's protected throughout time. Find Arthur, train Arthur, nudge Arthur onto the nearest throne, unite the realms, and live happily ever after. Unfortunately, Ari makes all of that very difficult, as she could not care less. All she wants to do is find her moms and get away from the oppressive Mercer Corporation. I think the best part about Once and Future is that almost every single character is queer, and that their queerness isn't really relevant to the plot, except for maybe like twice. There are also themes of imperialism, racism, colonialism, environmentalism, and anti-capitalism for added fun. All in all, fantastic book, and there is a sequel that I have been waiting to read for actual years now, and it is number 1 on my list when I get back home. The final book I have to recommend to you today is Symptoms of Being Human by Jeff Garvin. This book was actually my queer awakening, so shout out to the friend who lent it to me in 8th grade. Thank you very much. I will always have a special spot in my heart for this book. That being said, there isn't a whole lot going on, story-wise. Symptoms of Being Human is about a gender-fluid teenager named Riley. Jeff does a fantastic job describing gender fluidity and the experiences of a lot of gender non-conforming kids going through high school. It's a great reference for young readers just starting to question their gender identities, and it's incredibly inclusive to the LGBTQ+ community. There just isn't too much plot going on. It feels more like almost a diary kind of story as Riley logs their daily experiences going through high school. Still a great book, and I definitely recommend Symptoms of Being Human to younger readers that are looking for a doorway into the trans community. I have so many more books that I could talk about, but I just do not have the time for today. So if you liked this video and you want more LGBTQ+ books to read, please give this video a thumbs up, and I will think about doing another one next Pride Month. Also leave me a comment down below with any of your favorite books that I did not mention, and please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel to join me on my quest to make people smile. Today's happy fact is that Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was an ordained minister, and I wonder how many marriage ceremonies he performed in his little neighborhood there. That's all for today, so until next time, pet a dog, water a plant, have a snack, take your meds, drink some water, and until next time, take it easy. Don't forget to smile.